and welcome back to the Being Grounded podcast. We are on a mission to help you redefine success, become the best version of yourself, and find peace in this fast-paced world. Hi, my name is Molly.
Hi, my name is Fleur.
And in today's episode, we are joined by a very special guest who creates self-development content online, focusing specifically on confidence, self-belief, and offering unforgettable advice. You may recognize her by her username, Just Knee, because I don't cap. I love your username. How did you come up with it?
It was actually my private story name. It's also just a pun on my name because my nickname is Kneecaps, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna name my private story that. So then I just made it my TikTok name.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
AKA Knee. Her approach to confidence goes deeper than motivation. It's rooted in her mindset, self-awareness, and growth. Her content has personally inspired me, I knew...
Thank you.
So obviously we knew... She inspired everyone. So we knew she'd bring so much value to this conversation and podcast. So welcome, Nee. It's great to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on here.
Oh my God, of course. I feel like I said a minute ago, genuinely, the advice and the conversations that Nee has on social media, you know, on TikTok is so good. So yeah, that's why I wanted to talk mainly about confidence.
Okay.
So I'm going to dive straight in if you don't mind. And I was wondering, have you always been confident? You know, like, can you talk us through your journey of confidence? What's it been like? And yeah, how have you found being confident?
I definitely have not always been very confident. I actually used to be a very insecure person for, I want to say, most of my life. So my journey started during lockdown when I was just forced to be by myself and really sit with my thoughts. And during that time, I also just did not like myself as a person. I thought there was so much wrong with me. I don't think there was a single thing that I liked about myself. And I also noticed that a lot of my friends were leaving me as well. And it's like, when you really think about it in that sense, like, the common denominator is you, and I took accountability for that. So that was when I started really sitting down and working on myself, and that was how I built confidence.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
Thank you.
So how would you say that you personally define confidence then?
I would define confidence as someone who is just very self-possessed, someone who is very sure of themselves. You can just tell in the way that someone carries themselves, I want to say. That's usually the best indicator of confidence, and also just not comparing yourself to other people.
That's so true. I was actually saying that to one of my friends recently, where I work at a pharmacy, so I'm always on the counter and I'm meeting a lot of people, and specifically even serving people who are in their 60s and 70s, you can tell for each person whether they've gone their entire life being confident or not, just from how they carry themselves, just from the style that they have, just from the energy that they bring, just from the way that they speak. And I think it made me realize just how important it is to be authentic to yourself, because everybody around you can really see that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you can just tell when someone embodies it, because my philosophy is your body will never lie. Like, you can always read somebody's body language and know. It's like, you can tell when somebody's insecure or they're unsure of themselves, and you can also tell when someone's confident because they just seem very sure of themselves. That's the best way I can put it.
You can really see it and sense it in their energy, you know? Like, it's something that is so magnetic, confidence, because you kind of, the person can walk into a room and you just think, yeah, like, she's got it together, do you know what I mean? Like, she's confident. And even if it's not real as well, like, would you think about, you know, like, fake it till you make it mindset? Do you think that's something that we can have? Or, like, what do you personally believe about that?
I think that you can definitely fake it for a little bit, but I don't think it's a permanent fix, because I think that real confidence is rooted from within. And when you never get to that point, it's really hard to kind of just project that type of character for so long.
Yeah, so you think it's something that's more internal as opposed to just something you fake?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think you can definitely play it out for a little bit, but I think it's going to wear off after a while.
That's really interesting.
Relationships as well. Like, you can try and pretend that you think someone is right for you, whether it's romantically or like as a friend, but then eventually it's going to come out that you have your differences and that you're clashing, and like something will happen to make you realize that, and then you'll be like, why did I... It's not wasting time, I guess, because like every connection brings a lesson in. But for most of my life, I definitely did that, where I just sort of like forced myself to get on with everybody not understanding that you're not meant to do that. And it's the same with confidence. It's like you can fake it in the moments where you know you need to, like when you're about to do a presentation or a talk or do something which is scary, and just putting yourself into a different ego, into a version of you that you've created to help yourself in that moment. But at the end of the day, when you need it for like relationships or connections, or even just to defend yourself, that has to come from an authentic place. Otherwise it's never going to feel like you're doing it right to yourself, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly how I see it as well. And I think that's actually a really good example, the presentation example that you gave, because it's like you can step into a character when you need to, but it's like you can't keep up that persona for that long if that's not how you truly feel.
And that kind of leads me on to something else I wanted to ask you as well, if that's okay, which is, do you think confidence is something that we're born with, or do you think it's something that we learn to adapt? And how would you kind of define that?
I would say it's definitely more learned, but I will say that kids from a young age are pretty naturally confident because nobody's telling them that they have to be this, this, and that. Nobody's making them feel insecure. So it's something that you kind of have to unlearn for yourself, and then you can definitely just build that confidence as you age. And I know this for a fact because, like I said, I used to be a very, very insecure person, and I built up my confidence, so I know it's 100% possible.
I think especially like you said about being a child and like not feeling like you have to hide yourself away, and then like the more that you grow up, the more people tell you have to be a certain way or act a certain way. And you even see it in your siblings, if you have any, or not, doesn't even have to be just siblings, but just children in general around you, where there's like a certain moment where you'll realize that their energy just doesn't feel the same anymore. And it's really sad because it's like, I wish we could just like go our whole life just feeling like we can be ourselves, but there's always going to be something or someone or even society going to try and test that.
Yeah, and like I think that's just a part of life, honestly. And that's why I don't think confidence is, like, this is going to sound so cliche, but that's why I don't think confidence is a destination. It really is a journey, because even though I do consider myself to be a confident person, I still actively work on my confidence every single day, because life is always going to throw things at you that may knock your confidence down. So it's important for you to keep building at it, or else you're going to lose it.
Exactly. So what do you think, like, what do you do in your day-to-day life then to bring that confidence into your life?
I definitely try to push myself out of my comfort zone at least a little bit every day, and it doesn't even have to be anything big. Like, I'm not saying that you need to like go out and eat by yourself if that's not something you're comfortable with, but it could even be like, say you're out shopping, and what you usually do is you like go around somebody if they're like in an aisle in order to avoid them. What you could do instead is you could just go past them, say, "Excuse me, can I get through here?" and then just walk through them, because that's gonna teach your brain like, oh, this wasn't so bad, I can do this again. And then you can tackle harder tasks, and that way you can build confidence. Because confidence to me is all just about knowing what you can do. It's just knowing who you are and knowing what you're capable of.
You know what, when I was in school, I used to be very, very insecure and obviously lack of confidence because of it. And what I used to do is sometimes, I know it's obviously wasn't allowed in school, but I used to put my headphones in and I like hide them behind my ear. And sometimes I would just walk through the corridors with my little headphones in, playing like a feel-good playlist. And this was before I knew anything about self-development, you know, sort of like having a playlist to help you feel confident and motivated. Like, I did not know about any of this. This was personally just something I found, and it'd be filled with all of these like songs that were kind of very feel-good playlist. And I would walk through and I'd pretend that I was this beautiful, amazing person, and I had so much. Yeah, literally, I used to have this
gorgeous.
thing where, like, she is, and at the time I thought, God, like, why can't I look like that? And so what I would do is I would literally pretend that I did. Like, obviously now I know, of course, I
all had that phase where we've all
Everyone
wished
has a
definitely.
phase,
I've had that phase too. Yeah,
I've had that phase, but then I got to a certain stage where I was like, she is gorgeous, but then also imagine if every single woman in the entire world looked like Madison Beer. Like, there'd be no sense of beauty, because it would just be the same. And I feel beautiful women come from the fact that they are so different, and I can see beauty in so many women, in just all women, you know? So it doesn't take away from one woman's beauty in comparison to Madison Beer, because I don't even think of Madison Beer when I look at a beautiful woman, you know, but you don't see that in yourself. You just think, oh, beautiful woman. But then when you look in the mirror, you always compare it to like other versions of what beauty means. And I guess especially with confidence as well, when you just like step into that version of you, it kind of exudes and what's the word?
Exudes.
Exudes. Exudes such a weird word. Exudes. And everyone can feel it, you know?
Yeah, and exactly. And that's kind of what I did was in that moment I pretended, you know, just for those minutes. And over time, like naturally, because you're kind of used to walking a certain way, and of course, like Anise said, it's not something that you just like have and then of course you do naturally come back to where you were because it's just a facade, isn't it, really? But like it does, to me, I kind of found it helped me to cosplay the woman that I wanted to be, which was confident, you know? And I suppose with that, I also learned those little tricks of like listening to a feel good playlist boosts my confidence. Listening and, you know, having my head held high and knowing, yeah, like I am that bitch. Like,
Exactly.
Makes you feel good. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just, sorry, that was so off topic.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And I actually totally agree with you because I am all for a feel good playlist. Like, I've talked about it on my profile quite a bit of times. Like, if you don't have a confidence playlist, I don't know what you're doing because I want to say that accounts for at least 50% of the reason as to why I'm so confident, because you need to embody that. And I think music really does help you embody the type of energy that you're looking for. And I have like 3 different confidence playlists just for like different moods.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's really cool, and it's like this was also before I like learned anything about this. This was just something that I was doing. And what I would do specifically is, like you said, like you just pretend that you're like a beautiful woman like walking down the runway. So I would do that. I would like try on different outfits while doing this, and I would also look in the mirror as well, which I think is also really powerful because that helps you associate positive thoughts and emotions with yourself. Like it just made me feel so comfortable and confident in my own body, and also like my own sensuality, sexuality, whatever you want to call it as well.
100%. Have you ever heard of that thing where like you stand in front of the mirror naked and like it helps you to like love yourself more?
Yeah, for sure. And it's like if you can just put on a playlist that makes you feel hot, that's even better.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of leads me on to something else I wanted to ask you, which is, in your opinion, like what would you say is a difference between confidence and arrogance? Because I know that people, especially on social media, love to say if you're confident you're arrogant, or self-love is narcissism, or what, you know, they like to come up with, I suppose, concepts to try and put a dampener and like negativity on words like confidence. So, you know, why do you think people confuse the two, and what would you say is the difference between them?
The main difference is that arrogance is always rooted in insecurity, because the reason why people are arrogant is because they are overcompensating for their insecurities, versus when someone is confident, you can just tell. I want to say the biggest difference is that confident people don't feel the need to boast about it. And sometimes I even worry about how this comes across on my page as well, because I practice positive self-talk. I preach positive self-talk, but I'm just like, and it's like, I know I'm a confident person, but sometimes when I talk about it too much, I do get a little bit of imposter syndrome, and I'm like, will this discredit me if I just like constantly talk about like how great I am? Like, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. And it's like, I know for a fact I'm not overcompensating because I'm very aware of my own body, my thoughts, my emotions, but I'm just like, is it coming across that way? Like are people interpreting my aura as
your
like me
confidence
overcompensating?
and your self-belief.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm just like sometimes I just have to be careful about that, because like I don't want to come across as someone who's overcompensating, because then nothing that I'm gonna say makes any sense. That just discredits me as a person. But I want to say, like, definitely the biggest difference is people who are arrogant overcompensate. They always have to be like, oh, I'm so this, I'm so that. Like, for example, let's just say you're overcompensating for being smart. I knew so many kids in school like this. They'd always ask people around them, like, oh, what'd you get on the test? Oh, I got an A, blah, 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 blah. Like, they'd always try to feel the need to prove that they're smarter than you. And that's another thing. It's comparison as well. Because if you compare yourself in any way, that just proves that you're insecure about something deep down. And when you're insecure about something, you are going to overcompensate with arrogance to make yourself feel better.
Wow, that's a really interesting take.
It's so true though. And I always find that arrogant people are the loudest people, and sometimes the loudest people are the ones that deal with the most and have the most going on in their head, and they're just compensating for that by being loud to overwrite the voices in their head.
Yeah, exactly. Like they feel the need to prove to other people that they're this, and this versus like confident. Like I don't feel the need to prove to anyone that I'm confident. You can just tell through the way that I speak or through my body language. I don't need to be like, I'm so confident, I'm so pretty, I'm so this and this. Like I'll say it to myself, sure,
know.
But it's like, yeah, like you just know. Like I'm not gonna like go up to a person and be like, oh my god, like I'm the most confident person in the world. Like you should think I'm confident. It's really just the feeling the need to convince other people that you're this thing. That's what I define as arrogance.
Yeah, because I suppose it is, like you can always tell, I suppose, can't you?
Yeah.
Because I suppose it is like an energy too, I guess. Like you can kind of know, you know, sometimes like, and I catch myself doing this as well, which is again something I'm trying to work on, I guess. But you know, my mum or something would be like, oh, you know, you look so pretty or whatever, like you're so beautiful, and I would just be like, thank you, I know. But that's really like not a good way, maybe, I suppose, to answer to a compliment, because I suppose that does come across as very cocky and very arrogant. But like in my head, I suppose like I left the house knowing like, yeah, like I look good, you know. So I suppose it's kind of understanding and differentiating between the tonalities, maybe.
Yeah.
So
like,
yeah,
like I would say, like with what you're describing to me, it does not sound like arrogance, but maybe some other people might interpret it that way just based on the wording. But if I would say like
insecure people that would think that anything of that, because they would be expecting you to say something back.
Oh, like no, I don't look good. Like like I look really bad today. That sort of thing, you know.
Yeah. Like it's the insecure people that get pissed off. Like I don't know if you guys heard about this whole discourse online of like the Talia Breyer girl being like, I'm so pretty, and like everybody was coming at her being like, oh, you're not all that, like you can't think you're all that, you're not even like that pretty, just because she said that she was pretty.
No, I've not heard of that.
Really?
But I've seen it happen to other people, so
yeah, like people just try to humble you. It's weird. Like even if you're genuinely confident, it's always like, I don't even mean to sound pretentious when I say this, but it's always the insecure people who will try to humble you. It's because like they know deep down that if they went around acting the way that you did, they would probably get clowned. So yeah, they're basically projecting on you.
Yeah, 100%. Because it is just projection, isn't it?
Yeah, like honestly, a lot of dislike, I want to say, is just projection. Not all of it, but a lot of the time it is. Like if somebody hasn't done anything to you, but for some reason they just piss you off so much, I want to say 90% of the time that is you projecting. And there's definitely been times where this has happened with me as well, where like somebody has just like pissed me off for literally no reason. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I'm like, oh, I'm literally projecting, because I know that if I acted like this, I would get clowned. That's why I hate that they act like this, and they get away with it.
I see. Yeah, so it's just you knowing that, like, why can you do that, but I can't? Because it's just, yeah,
and it's like, since you were, like, I want to say oftentimes the people who are projecting were shamed for that one trait at some point in their lives. So when they can just see somebody going about their day unchecked, acting like this, it's like, well, why do they get to just like live freely and I don't? Why aren't people shaming them? So that's where the projection comes in.
Do you think that there are like big factors that shape someone's confidence growing up that makes them be that kind of person?
I would say yes. Like if you grew up around people who are constantly supporting you, like making sure that you know your worth, you will grow up to be more confident than the average person, versus someone who grew up bullied. They're probably going to feel insecure as a child and also later on as well, but especially as a child, because children are so impressionable. Like anything that happens to you as a child gets carried throughout your adult life until you work on it. Definitely your environment for sure. If you're around people who are supportive and make you feel good, you're going to feel more confident. If you're around people who make you feel insecure, you're going to feel insecure.
Do you think it's also kind of dependent as well? Because sometimes I think that people that maybe get bullied or grew up with a lack of self-confidence turn out to be some of the most confident people, or like go on to have great successes. Obviously, again, I know it is like variable from person to person, and again, like what else happens to them in their life, and etc, etc. But what do you think about that? How do you think people kind of come to that conclusion of like building confidence after it being knocked down?
I would just say it comes from, you definitely do have to do the self-work in order to get there. And I think you just have to reach like such a low point in your life where you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this person anymore. Because that was how I was with my confidence. I didn't like the fact that I was so insecure. Like, when I tell you, I was so incredibly deeply insecure. It was actually so bad. And it's like, most people would never even guess that about me, but it was just the fact that I hated that part of me so much that I was like, you know what, I want to change. I don't want to feel this way anymore. And it's also the same with my people pleasing habits as well. Like, I grew up being such a people pleaser, and I was just like, you know what, I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like, I don't want people to take advantage of me anymore, so I'm gonna start setting boundaries. So I think it just really comes to like hating yourself so much to the point where you feel the need to change.
It just hits a point one day where you just wake up and you just think, what am I doing with myself, with my life, like with the way that I let people treat me? And I think sometimes, because in all honesty, I don't think that all people in the world are just confident their entire life. Like, at least 99.9% of confident people have once been very insecure. So it's like, you don't just live your whole life being confident. It's impossible. And if anyone is saying that they're like that, they're probably the most insecure person out there, that they can't even be open about being insecure, you know? So
So just you just wake up and smell the coffee, you know? I love
Yeah.
that saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just like wake up one day, like you said, it's like what am I doing? Like, I hate myself. Like, let's change.
And I think, again, like you said, it kind of takes getting to a certain point of like, no, like, I've had enough now. Because I suppose not only does it impact your self-esteem, but it impacts the way you show up for yourself. Every single part of your life, when you feel insecure, when you aren't confident, it kind of hinders, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people underestimate how important confidence actually is, because I feel like a lot of people just think it's about feeling good about yourself, but your mindset affects your entire life. Like you said, it affects the way you work, the way you show up for yourself, even the way you communicate. People can tell when you're confident versus when you're not.
Yeah, and obviously I know we talked a lot about, you know, self-talk and things like this, and how do you think that self-talk influences confidence more than people realise? Because obviously we hear say affirmations, but how do you think it improves and influences your confidence?
Positive self-talk definitely influences your confidence for sure. And coming from a neurological point of view, it's like when you say this, and this about yourself, like, I am the type of person who gets things done on time. I'm the type of person who always shows up for myself. It's actually going to make you want to take the steps to get to that belief. Like, if you say that you're the type of person who constantly shows up for yourself, you're going to like get your work done on time, you're gonna go to bed on time, you're gonna go to the gym, like do your skincare, like do all of those things. And it's like, oh, here's something that I do want to talk about. I want to talk about the negative self-talk. That influences your self-perception and your confidence so much. I say this all the time in my videos, if you're constantly talking shit about yourself, how the fuck are you gonna expect to feel confident? If you're constantly calling yourself ugly, worthless, unlikable, it's going to get embedded into your mindset. And once it gets embedded into your mindset, it is going to show through your body language, and people can feel that. So it's very important to not talk shit about yourself. Like, I understand that positive self-talk does take some time, because it definitely took some time for me. I felt so goofy saying affirmations at first, but after a while, you just get used to it. And over time, it will just start working.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And do you know what? This reminds me of a Substack article I was reading earlier on. And obviously, I know you're very into neuroscience, psychology. So, I mean, I don't know. You can tell me, is Substack good for that sort of stuff? Or is there better places to get your sources?
I actually haven't gone on Substack, believe it or not. But I will say, if you want to learn more about neuroscience from reputable sources, I do like Dr. Bing on Instagram. I really like him. He's a board certified neuroscientist. And also Huberman Lab podcast as well. That's also, I really like that podcast, at least. I also think it's pretty easy to understand complex concepts, but it's something that you definitely do have to do your research on, and just Google, like, hey, like, is this person, like, actually reputable? Just look at their work, look at their sources, and
like play around and pick it apart. But I mean, I was reading the Substack article, which was about how saying, oh, new year, new me fails, because myelin, which is like a fatty acid that basically surrounds your neurons, and it helps the neurons to like travel quicker and faster and like, you know, much more speedier. And so whenever you start a new habit or a new goal, it takes a lot more time because your brain hates it because it hasn't got the myelin, so it takes slower to transmit. And he was basically saying how you have to have, like, in order for you to be able to do something, say for example going to the gym, if you think I'm not a gym person, I'm not a this person, I don't work out, I don't exercise, it's not me, trying to actually do the action will be so hard because your identity isn't aligned with the action. Whereas even if you don't do it, even if you don't go to the gym but you say I'm a gym person, I'm a gym girl, like I go to the gym, you know, I work out, I do this, I do that, and actually like doing the action is a lot easier because you have that sense of identity there in place. So it kind of helps the things to build up myelin. I don't know. It was very interesting. I kind of got lost halfway through. I was like, wow, this is a lot. But like, and that kind of reminded me of what you were saying of how you have to build an identity and you have to be able to speak words of affirmation because obviously the negative ones.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is about identity for sure, because identity is what shapes your mindset. I don't know about the actual logistics behind that. I haven't done enough research on that to tell you whether or not that is a reputable source, but the logic behind it does make sense.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's quite like interesting, isn't it? Because you think the more you say something to yourself, like you basically brainwash yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you literally brainwash yourself into believing you are something, even if you're not.
If you go like your whole life telling yourself that you're all of these things, why do we think that overnight we're going to be able to like rewrite that? Like it's like like you said, like how it works is you have paths in your brain and you take the easy one because that's the one you've always taken, that's the one you know. And sometimes like treating ourselves poorly, that comes from it being comfortable to us. Like we almost feel comfortable with the pain because it's like we're used to it. And the idea of like showing up as this confident version of yourself, or looking in the mirror and instead of pointing out the spots that you have on your face, you're pointing out the fact that you like your eyes, or the fact that you like the way your hair looks today. It feels uncomfortable to do that because you're more used to pointing out the fact that you don't like the fact you've got spots that day, or you don't like the fact that this or that or whatever it might be that you usually say you don't like about yourself. It's easier because you've said that maybe 365 times, but then you've only said you like your eyes once. So of course, like in
it's
comparison, it's going to be harder. But then eventually you'll start saying those nice things to yourself, and you'll get to a point where you'll get to a crossroad. And so what I used to do when I was like learning to bring self-talk into my life and rewrite the way I think about myself is anytime I would think something negative about myself, I would then instantly switch it into a positive or turn the sentence around, so that I was basically rewriting the thought in my brain and taking the harder path instead of the easier one. And the more you do that, the easier the harder path becomes, and the harder the easier one becomes, because then when you go back the path that you've always known, you start to feel uncomfortable because you don't want to do that to yourself.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. Like that is a real thing. Neuroplasticity is a real thing because that's your brain's ability to change, and you can rewire your brain to do anything, which I think is actually so cool. And like you said, if you constantly look for positive things, you are rewiring your brain to look for positive things, because I don't think anybody actually wants to feel like shit, but you just do it, like you said, because it's comfortable. You don't know any better, and like you said, it's also uncomfortable and it's harder to do the better thing. But the more you repeat certain actions, the more you are strengthening certain neural pathways in your brain, so it does get easier over time. It's like building habits.
Like it becomes more comfortable the more you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like, I get it. Like, it may sound so goofy at first when you first start implementing positive self-talk, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Like, I talk positively about myself every single day, and it is so natural to me because I've been doing it for the past 5 years. But there was once a point in my life where I wasn't doing this. I was calling myself ugly in the mirror. I was like picking at my acne, whatever. But you just train your brain to look for the positive within yourself.
Do you think that confidence and insecurity can coexist at the same time? Because I feel like I'm at that stage of my journey now where I would say I am a confident person, but that insecure version of me does still like exist within me, and it's like a battle of like, oh, I think this way about myself, but then the new version of me is going, no, be quiet, like that's not true, you know, you shouldn't think that way. And it can almost be really tiring when you have two paths and you know, like when you have one path it's easier because you just have one path, but when you have two, like when you have that confident version of yourself and then that insecure version of yourself, it's even worse because you always feel like you're pulled between the two and you lose sense of like which one you actually identify with. So do you think that they can coexist and that it makes you less confident to still have that insecurity, or if that's just human, like that's normal?
I honestly just think it's human because I'm gonna be so honest, even I sometimes experience this as well. And it's taken me a long time to really come to terms with it because I believed for a long time that if you were confident, you can't be insecure. But that's not the case at all. Because I also think that you can be confident and arrogant at the exact same time because arrogance just stems from insecurity. So I think it's just very natural to doubt yourself, like feel like shit. Like there's definitely days where I do feel like shit sometimes. So I think of confidence and insecurity, arrogance, all of that is kind of like, I kind of think of it as like a spectrum. And I'm like, I know I'm more on the confident side, but there's definitely some days where I do feel insecure because that's just human. And I don't think that we should shame ourselves for feeling insecure. I don't think it makes us any less confident. That's just who we are as people.
And do you think that sort of dealing with hatred or people knocking down your confidence, you know, failure, rejection, kind of makes this worse? And if so, how can you kind of still stay confident when that's happening? Do you find with your social media, like, do you get lots of hate? And if you do, how do you combat that?
So when I first started doing social media, I actually got my fair share of hate. And I wasn't even expecting this because I had like 100 followers at the time. I was like, just didn't expect to get that much hate. I will say it did affect me for a little bit. It didn't really affect my perception of myself because I knew that what they were saying didn't align with my internal beliefs. It was more so just the fact that I was getting so much of it. I was like, oh, does everybody hate me? Like, should I quit social media? And at one point I did feel the need to want to quit, but then I just kept going because I was like, you know, I've already put in so much effort. Like, I am not quitting. I'm not going to back down from this. And something I do in order to separate my online presence from me in real life is I try to stay off social media as much as possible, actually. So I only go on my TikTok profile like twice a day, and that's it. I'll watch like 1 to 2 videos on my For You page. I'll like watch some videos from my mutuals, and that's it. I'm just like done with the app. And that was something that's really helped me separate those two identities when I was first getting a lot of hate. But I think that in order to really combat that hate, to make sure that it doesn't affect you, is to build a very strong sense of self-identity. So it's like, if someone's like calling you ugly online, they're saying, oh, you're not smart, like, oh, you sound like this or whatever, but you don't believe it's true, you're not going to believe them. And it's like, I've made a video on this. It's like, if someone were to call you an ostrich, you know you're not going to take that seriously because you have a very strong internal belief that you're human. So that applies to anything else. You just have to strengthen that belief through repeated affirmations.
That's so true. And I feel like if you are an influencer online and you've not had hate, then you're not doing it right. Because I've had hate, Molly's had hate, and it's very normal because if you don't have hate, then you're not actually making an impact. If you know, receiving hate, that means you've actually made an impact. Like that means someone is so mad at what you're saying that they have the audacity to take the time out of their day to think of something to say that's gonna like ruin your entire day. I mean, like, imagine having the time for that. Imagine. And it's not even just you. That's their entire day. They have like a routine, a schedule of each person.
They do that for everyone.
That they need to go and hate on. And I actually just feel sorry for people like that. And anytime I receive hate, I just send love and blessings out. And I just think, you know, like, I'm not gonna... And most of the time, actually, it's not hate I receive. It's more like really constructive, but like put it like the emphasis on constructive criticism, where it's like they're saying something, but it's kind of like backhanded, you know, like it always starts with "I love your videos," but like, and then it's an entire essay. It's like, but you really love them then.
The thing is could you even? I don't know. Like, I just genuinely cannot fathom how some people feel the need to like see someone they don't like the look of and comment that they're ugly or comment something about their appearance. Like it's actually so bewildering to me because I don't get it. Like, how can you? I don't know. I just find it so weird. Like, why? Like, why waste those words on calling somebody like ugly or
just
unattractive?
Because that's how they feel themselves.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's just like they're miserable.
Yeah, exactly. Like hurt people. And it's so true because when you go your entire life having people call you those things, you think it's then normal to say those things to someone else. You see it in children, for example. If you tell a child absolutely every single day that an apple is a banana, they're going to go to school and say, oh my God, I love eating bananas when everyone takes their apples out, you know? Like, that's just something that they've like correlated as being normal. But then everyone in the room is going to be like, dude, this isn't like this. What are you on about? So I think it's just more like from the idea that if you've grown up believing that treating people that way is normal, then you feel confident to do that, even though it's just so wrong. I don't even think those things about people, and then saying them is just a completely other thing that I can't even comprehend doing. But then I can like emotionally, empathically understand why someone does that, because if you've been through it your entire life, then of course you're going to think that's normal. And again, I just feel sorry for people like that, because you just I'm one of those people that I just want peace and love for everybody. It's not possible, but I want it.
Nearly the end of the episode, and before we end off, I want to ask Nee one more question, which is, if somebody had zero confidence, they were ripplingly insecure, completely unconfident, what advice would you give for them to become confident? What would be your first 3 steps?
My first step would be to limit the negative self-talk, because I know going from negative self-talk to positive self-talk can sometimes be a bit of a jump. So it's easier to just ease into it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stop talking shit about ourselves. And whenever you do find a flaw on your face, for example, counteract it with something you like about yourself. So like Fleur was saying earlier, it's like if you're picking at your acne, you could always just say, oh, I like how my eyes look. I like how my hair looks. So it's going to be something like that. So definitely stop the negative self-talk. And then step 2 would be practice positive self-talk. And then I would say after that, make a playlist that makes you feel so confident, so capable, and so hot. And you can make as many as you want. You can add as many songs as you want, but that's really going to help you embody that feeling. And that's going to translate into every area of your life.
I love that. Definitely, I'm backing all of that up. The playlist, self-talk, so true.
So before we end off the episode, there is a little tradition that we always do with this podcast where we like to share one thing we're going to be doing this week to stay grounded. So, Nee, what is one thing that you're going to be doing this week to stay grounded?
I would say I am going to definitely listen to my confidence playlists more. I should definitely practice what I preach, and I do, but I just haven't really had time to like sit there and like have some time to myself to really embody that mindset that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna do that so I can feel more like myself again.
I love that. I feel like I'm gonna do that myself, honestly. What about you, Molly?
This week, to help me stay grounded, I really want to start prioritizing like my daily movement. Before Christmas, I was so into getting my 10k steps, and even after Christmas as well, I was going out on walks quite a lot. But the temperature literally has dropped, and so I've kind of been very demotivated, I suppose, to go on walks and go out and try and run and do all the things I really wanted to do in terms of like fitness goals. So I think that definitely just trying to create that pathway in my brain of like, we move our body, we get up, we go and exercise in whatever capacity that means for me. Like obviously I'm always like changing and environment's always changing, so I think definitely prioritizing my daily movement, because that just it helps clear your mind, you know.
Yeah, that's
it really
a good
helps
one.
And you know, I heard this thing as well, Tam Kaur, she was talking about this on her TikTok, I think yesterday. I saw it.
Mind-body connection.
I've never heard it before.
I was literally about to talk about that. No, I know so much about that.
It's crazy. And like the energy that, okay, if you don't like do something with energy, for example, like exercising or working out or something like that, all the energy that you should
pent up inside
exerting gets pent up inside, and it causes like lack of productivity, brain fog, etc. And I never heard of that, and I was like, oh,
it helps.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
it's exactly
it's true.
Like I have the same thing. It helps you in so many ways that we don't even realize, and that's why when people think that you only need to go to the gym because, I don't know, you might want to lose weight or whatever, like it's so sad, because that's not the reason why I go. For example, I go because I want to focus on my health and I want to become stronger. And I think there are so many more reasons than just doing something for appearance to be, you know, incorporating movement into your life, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, like it's definitely more of a mental thing for me, for sure, because it does help me feel more grounded. I feel, yeah, like you don't get as much brain fog when you go to the gym. Like you're so much more productive because there's actually things going on in your body and brain when you exercise. Exercise is actually one of the best things that you can do for your body in terms of health. Like if you could just put exercise into one pill and everybody took that pill, they would benefit a lot from it. And I just think not enough people talk about the mental health benefits of exercise. It's always physical. It's always like, oh,
it's
like I want to be hot.
based.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I think that's fine, but it's like it's so good for your mental health.
It really is.
Maybe that should be my driving force then.
Yeah.
Well, it's really difficult because, like, I'm not gonna lie, even I mainly, like, sometimes have it for appearance of just, like, seeing the muscle gain. Like, so it's one of those things where it's like you have to, whenever you see your mind going a little bit too negative with your progress, you have to bring it back to, like, the main core reasons why you're going there. Because when you get caught up in appearance, you go down a spiral journey. Because I've done this several times where when I would have one day off of the gym or when I would eat maybe unhealthy foods, I would think I was throwing away my progress and that I then needed to punish myself by going an extra few days in the week. Now I'm at this point where it's like, no, because A, you're burning yourself out by doing that, and B, if you have that negative mindset, you're actually building, like, it's actually doing worse for you than it is doing good. So, yes.
Because you're building negative relationships.
Exactly. Yes, movement is good for you, but there's a balance, you know, and you can't take it to an extreme, just like you can't take anything to an extreme. If you're going like 7 days a week, no rest days, not allowing yourself to have like ice cream or pizza when you're out with your friends, that's actually worse for your health than it is good. You know, there's a balance in everything in life.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you for sure. And there's also definitely been some times where I've gone down that path where it's like, I think if I miss a day, like I'm gonna lose all my progress. And it's like, even when I got sick too, where I couldn't go to the gym for like a week, I literally felt so bad.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna like lose all my progress. But you know what's actually so funny is when I came back, I actually came back stronger because I let my body rest.
Yes, because you let your body rest. It happens to me as well. Whenever you like take a week or two off, you actually get more muscle gain because you've allowed your muscles to catch up. Because if you're always overworking them, they're not going to have any time to recover. They say that you need at least 2 days between each muscle group. If you do it back to back, for example, if you did like biceps every single day, you wouldn't be allowing your biceps to recover. But if you did your biceps on, I don't know, Monday, and then you came back to them, I don't know, on Thursday or Friday, you allowed for that recovery process. But I feel like a lot of people don't realize that. But it's overworking. It's like if you overwork the brain, you're going to get tired and you're going to go all stumbly and you're going to be like, you're not going to be able to talk properly or say all the things that you want to say properly.
The one thing that really puts me off, and I'm trying to figure out and like learn more, but I think the biggest thing that puts me off going to the gym more consistently is I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, no.
I just feel like, and I tried to create a playlist, and even like on my Notion as well, I tried to create a fitness plan. You know, I asked ChatGPT to help me a little bit, being like, these are my goals. What workout should I do? And yeah, don't get me wrong, it did help. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, it's just starting. It's just getting out of my bed when it's cold. And going to the gym,
it's
hard. It just kind of fills me with dread, and I know it's
that.
bad because
that's where, yeah, like that's where the discipline just comes in. It's like the more you show up for yourself as well, the more you're gonna build that habit. Like now, it's gonna be so abnormal for me to not go to the gym. Like I'm going to feel like there's something missing in my life, and going to the gym also helps me feel more like myself. So I think you really just have to build up the habit. And I understand like when it's cold, it's so hard because like I live in a cold ass state. It's so hard. It's so hard for me to just get out of bed every day. But you really you just have to take that harder path. Eventually it gets easier and then it just becomes a habit. And in terms of actually working out at the gym, I would just start with baby steps. Like this is
that's like what I do sometimes.
Yeah. Watch other people, watch some TikTok videos as well. That was how I learned to lift.
Do that all the time.
Like I still Google exercises if I need to. And it's like most machines. Yeah, like I don't know if your guys' machines like have instructions on them, but ours do. So sometimes I'll just look at those if I'm still like, oh, how do I do this? But it's really just taking that initial step. And then once you, you just have to ease into it. Just like, this is what I tell myself whenever I don't want to go to the gym. I'm always like, okay, I'm just gonna do my compound lifts and then like I'll see how I feel. If I like still feel like shit, I'm gonna go home or whatever. But most of the time, I actually end up finishing my lift, like finishing my whole lift.
So do you start with like cardio or do you start with straight into lifting?
Oh,
I
that's cardio is
I
always last.
like for
Okay.
me personally when I work out,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I lift first. I have
Yeah.
specific days where I do cardio. So I have 2 cardio days. But other than that, I just
So
focus on lifting.
why is it lit? Because when I went to the gym, like I say before Christmas, like I used to like run on the treadmill. So this is so unrelated. I'm really
You're
interested.
fine.
Like I used to run on the treadmill, like do this. I don't know if you've heard of the app Runner. Like I used to do
I
that.
don't think so.
And then it's like a app where you run, like you do in intervals. Like you run for a few minutes, then you walk, then you run, then you walk. And like I did that for like half an hour, and then I would do a bit of the bike, and then I would go and like maybe lift a few of these, and that'd be it. Goodbye.
It's better to have like specific days. So like not
Hmm.
everyone does cardio. I don't incorporate cardio into my routine because I'm gaining, I don't want to lose weight. And when I do cardio, I lose weight. So for me, if I'm adding cardio into my routine, it looks like the Stairmaster because that's classified as cardio or the treadmill.
Is it 12:3:30?
It's 12:3:30, but I sometimes do 5. But you can do so
That's crazy.
yeah, 12 of the incline,
Is
3
that
of the
hard?
speed.
It is hard.
12
It's harder
5.
than you would think. Like it definitely
Okay.
humbled me a little bit when I first tried it. You can go on the
So
Stairmaster too if you have one.
It's
I didn't have one of those at my gym. I'm so pissed
Stairmaster
because
is
the
so
gym I went to
hard.
before had like so much cool equipment, and I've downgraded the gym, so like I'm
Aw.
just stuck with the
It's
basics.
always hard when that
But I'm
happens.
gonna learn to drive. When I learn to
But
drive, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Stairmaster is the best one, and I'm so sad because I can barely get past 5-10 minutes now. I once did 30 minutes on the Stairmaster last year,
That's
and
good.
I've been trying so hard to reach that again because that to me was the pinnacle of my like strength. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah. Yeah.
no one can hurt me now. I can
Yeah.
walk the stairs for 30 minutes
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah, it builds your confidence too.
Because when you get to the point where you're like, no, I want to give up, you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah,
how
and it's
this has
also
kind of turned into a gym episode.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We
like
should do one of
why-
those.
we could. Like I'd love to be back here.
Yeah, we'd
Yeah,
love to have you
definitely.
back.
Yeah. But don't come to me with any don't come to me for any professional gym advice though, because I am not qualified.
Okay. We'll come to you for like what's it called, neuroscience and psychology.
Confidence.
I would say don't even come to me for the for the neuroscience.
Don't come to me.
I psychology, sure. Neuroscience, that's
Okay,
a
we'll come
little.
to psychology.
Yeah, it's more of like a little side quest for me. Like it's something I like to like look into for fun, but I am not
yeah.
qualified. I only talk about what I actually know works.
Okay, that's good. We'll come to you for
Yeah.
all of your life
Okay.
advice.
Okay,
I don't
sounds
think
sounds
I
great.
even need to say what I want to do this week to stay grounded because mine was going to be movement as well, and we've kind of like touched on that.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah.
Past 15 minutes.
And that brings us to the very end of the episode. Thank you so much again, Neve, for being on our podcast. We would love to have you on again one day. And I really hope you guys found this podcast episode very beneficial, very useful. We will leave the links to Neve's social media in the description box below, so be sure to go give her a follow. And we will see you in the next episode for a brand new episode.
Bye.